Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be looking at transforming the sliding door into something a little bit nicer, into this. So I'm off to get some supplies. We're going to do the sliding door today. Well, I say today, it's probably going to be 2 days all in all to get everything done how I want it to be. But the first step on the journey is to go and collect some supplies. So this has been on the agenda for a little while and haven't quite got round to it, but the next couple of days I'm hoping that's what I'm going to be doing. So essentially, one of the first things I'm going to have to do is remove the seat that I'm sat on at the moment. Now, when I fitted this, I fitted it in mind that I could just unscrew it from the base and the whole thing would just move out. So that's not actually that big of a task. The seat was really easy to remove. So now it's time to take off this old panel here and basically get everything ready so that I can get all that insulated inside. Why is it that whenever you do something like this, there's always those screws in there where the heads have been ground down and you just can't get your driver in there? So it just makes life more awkward than it needs to be. Yeah, why is that? Anyone know? So that's the old coverings off. Now, what I didn't realise is there was actually 2 layers on that. So that's off now. Now it's a case of clean up and get everything insulated. Time to start insulating. Now, my weapons of choice. I've got this big bag of recycled plastic, I think it is. But anyway, it's really, really good. I've used it throughout the van. I've got some of this very expensive Dodo stuff, right? And there's a reason for this, which I'll explain a bit later on, but I need more than one type. And then what I've also got is rolls of this double-sided foil stuff. Again, I know that some people think you don't need a vapor barrier. Other people think that you do need a vapor barrier. It's a bit of a sticking point, isn't it? I don't know. For me, I'm just going to do it the way that I think is correct. And yeah, if you think otherwise, do let me know in the comments. And then finally, some lovely foil tape. So essentially what I'm going to do is cover up anything that's sort of bare metal, or at least that's my attempt for it, and obviously stuff all the gaps and things. The more I can insulate it, my opinion anyway, the more I can insulate it, the better it is longer term. The insulation's gone in to a point. Obviously, I'm staying away from the cables, any wiring. You can see down there, there's quite a big gap where I'm not going anywhere near that because it looks electrical. So hopefully now there's plenty of room within that, and it's got room to breathe as well. Now, what I'm going to do on the back edge, on the inside edge of the wooden cover, I'm going to stick some of this foil here. So that's also going to help. And so overall, I'm hoping that it makes enough of a difference to make it worthwhile. So on the top part of this here, on the inside, I'm going to be using the Dodo insulation stuff. As I say, this was pretty expensive, but it's been really good. I've used it in the flares and anywhere where there's not a great deal of room. Now, there's a reason why I'm doing this, which I'll explain later. So I'm not going to use this because I want to keep some of this open. And as I said, I'll make sure that I explain what I'm doing a little bit later on. So for now, let's just get these in and done. Who knew that stuffing bits of cotton wool into gaps in the van would be so gratifying? It's strangely hypnotic. I'm quite enjoying this. You see these things here? I'm going to try and use a bit of brute force and just flatten them down because I don't want them sticking up like that. Now, if I can't do that, I may have to unpull the insulation and think about cutting them. But I don't want to lose this little bit of height here. So you can see that together they take a little bit of the height off. And so I want to rectify that. Turns out that those people that say you can't fix something with brute force is wrong, because there we are, done deal. Obviously I'm going to have to tidy those up and add a bit of primer and stuff on them because it's cracked the paint a little bit, but essentially it saves me digging everything out and having to cut them. Now it's time to start to add the stretch carpet. So this is the four-way stretch stuff. And again, it's a relatively nondescript colour, but that's okay because it's going to blend.
지금 우린 함께 할 수 있을까? Baby, 네 눈을 보면 알 수 있을까?
The first piece of the carpet on the door is now on. So we've got our top section here. So we've just got our bottom section to go. So rather than waste loads of carpet unnecessarily, I thought those are reasonable places to hide the joins, because there you've only got a tiny bit on show, and here again just a tiny piece on show because that's going to be covered by the table. Today you find me making a template for this top area here. Now what I'm going to try and do is get it so that it sits in these little grooves here, and we've got this wooden outline here. Now that all this is in place, I'm going to try and cut out the little inside bits there. So again, a little bit fiddly, but we should be okay. Finally, the cat's out the bag. So now we can see what it is I'm trying to do with this. So the idea is that this top section here, going to have ply, but it's going to go into these, and I'm going to make some lovely little shelves, right? So the idea is that these sunken pieces here are going to stay sunken, and I'm going to make some nice shelves. That's why I used the dodo matting at the back there, so that it didn't take up too much space. Hopefully this is going to work out. I've got the idea in my head. I've had the idea in my head for a long time. Now it's just a case of applying it. As you can see with this, I'm just framing out now the insides of these little shelves. So I've been cutting them to size, and I'm just dry fitting them in. Once I've got them all set out, then obviously I'll connect them properly, and so that they're not going anywhere. But for now, it's just this slow, laborious process of cutting out all these tiny little pieces of ply and trying to make sure that they fit properly in the gaps. And it's all going to look good when the front face goes on. So it's taken a little bit of time, but I really do believe it's going to be worth it in the end. I've cut this to the indentment of the panelling here so that it should sit into this bit of trim, which is the idea, and it seems to. So I'm going to screw it in and see how it looks. It's at this point in proceedings that I introduce you to the terrible carpenter's best friend. Now, this stuff is fantastic, covers a multitude of sins. Decorator's caulk, right? So obviously I've got a wood tone on this, and I'm just going to fill in the gaps now. So all the gaps that aren't quite cut completely flush, I can give a dose of this. Now I appreciate, again, if you're a carpenter by trade, or if you've got really good joinery skills, then you're probably pulling your hair out by now. Don't blame you, but that's not, that's not me. That's not my skill set. I'm just doing what I can and enjoying the process, I hasten to add. If I did 10 of these, I'm sure by the 10th one I'd be a lot better. You can see the outer ring now has been cut for the window frame, so it's been dry fitted on. None of it's there stuck yet. It's all got to come off and be finished prepping and then varnished up. But you can get an understanding now of what this is going to look like. So we've got the last panel to do down here, and then we can get all that varnished up and we can start to fit it. The last board has now been cut for this door. So the side door now, mostly it's going to be this, but it's going to be varnished over the top. So it's just basic, very, very, very light ply. The idea is that it looks good, but it's not adding tons of extra weight, which obviously, as we all know, is a challenge for the van. There's already quite a lot of weight on there. So anything I can do to make that a little bit, easier and lighter going forward, then that's the sort of plan here, which is why I chose the door in the way that I did. Because on the last one, I had the whole thing panelled, and it looked really nice. However, obviously that adds quite a bit of weight to it. So this, I think, is going to be for me, I think an acceptable blend of not too heavy, but still looking good. That's the hope. All right, that's that one done. Time to get on with the others. The frames here, as you can see now, have had time to go off. So they've had their first coat of varnish, and that's had time to go off. So now we're going to do the second coat and get that all prepped up. And then while that's drying, can get on with the rest of the carpeting on the sliding door. Now, I won't bore you with the details, but essentially I've cut them to size just using some scraps. I know that you want one solid flow if you can get that. However, it made no sense to me to waste all that good material. I nearly forgot. I'm now going to make sure that I open all the windows and the doors and things so that there's ventilation going through. There I am in my little contained box, and I'm just about to start spraying some pretty heavy duty chemicals here. And I thought I'd put my mask on, which I did. And just as I was putting my mask on, I remembered it'd be a good idea to have some ventilation. So if you're going to do this, try and ventilate your space. That's it. The carpeting's done. Another step nearer. Hopefully you can see that now a lot better. So that's the carpeting done. With the varnish now dry on the frame here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some no more nails to try and attach this on. I didn't want to open a new grip fill just for this, so I'm hoping the no more nails is going to be man enough. We shall see. So the last of the panels is back on the door. So I made a new one. The old one, it was just a bit, messy, and for the time and effort, it's worth replacing, isn't it? So that's all now on. I've used the old clips just because they look much nicer. So if you can see that there, I'll just give it a little move around. You can see that the old clips are on, and I do think that's a much nicer finish. Now it's time to get on with the next bit. But what is the next bit? I hope you can see this okay. I've got a selection of little fake flowers and pots and things. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to now try and arrange these so that they sit, and they're going to go in here. Now, some of the pots are too big, so I'm going to have to do a little bit of transplanting and a little bit of jiggling. But at the end of the day, what I'm aiming for, look, is to have all rows of plants along here. And I'm going to get some trim as well, just to tidy these edges up. So I get a little bit of trim, so that's going to make that sit flush properly. Obviously, when you've only got a jigsaw and you don't have proper woodworking tools, don't be surprised when your straight edges are just a little bit wonky. I brought you in a little close on this one so you can see I've dry fitted the flowers. So I've sort of arranged them, and the plants rather, in the positions that I think they're going to look nice here. And you can see runs right the way along the door. If I come back enough, there you go, you can get a view. Like I said, I'm going to tidy up these trims and get some little edges to go on there. But overall now, my next job is to stick all these down. Now I've got this stuff. So this is carpet tape, carpet adhesive, so it's meant to stick carpets to floors, wooden floors, but it will work just as well on here. So I'm going to put a strip along the bottom, strip along the back edge, and that should stop anything falling out when we're traveling.